Welcome everyone to Still and Moving Centers, Gems from the Movement Traditions. This is a conversation circle that we take up every Saturday, sometimes under the umbrella of the movement traditions, sometimes under the umbrella of the wisdom traditions. And today we're taking it from the movement tradition of hula. We're very fortunate to have with us Mary Bird, who is kind of my hula mom, even though she's not very much older than me, but she's the hula mom for everyone in our hula halau, which is guided by her daughter, Malia Helela, who unfortunately is too sick to be with us today. And so we're really happy for Mary to be with us. She maybe hasn't studied to the same depth of Malia, who has graduated. She's been unikied as a kumuhula, and yet she has been doing it just as long as Malia, and they were in the same halau together, studying when Malia was a little girl. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Mary will tell us she even studied hula before that. But in any case, she does have a deep grounding in the tradition of hula. And one of the hulas that we first had danced at Still and Moving Center was about our topic for today, which is dew. And the word for the morning dew in Hawaiian is Kehau. And so you probably got in your mail a video of Malia dancing with the person who originated this song, Eddie Kamai, at Still and Moving Center in 2013. So this idea of the dew is really close to the Still and Moving Center heart. And we're so pleased to have you, Mary, to share with us on this topic.
Mahalo, Renee, and thank you everybody for coming today. It's going to be a nice, quiet, intimate sharing because it's this topic of just what dew is and what this song represents is love. And I know we all are full of love in this group, and we share it so that it will grow. So when I was just looking up about Eddie Kamai, who wrote this song, well, actually, it was really interesting. And I will put the link. There's a wonderful songbook, the Eddie Kamai songbook, and it's like 30 something pages, but he has all of the history of this song and how it came to be. Now, Eddie is originally from Oahu. He was born and raised on Oahu, but he has family on the, oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah. He also has family all over the islands. And this background of him is just wonderful. And it talks about how this song came about. And it was in the early 1970s. So I was away at college. I was just graduated in 68, and I went to Washington State for college. And that's where I met Malia's dad. But he was already married to his wife, Myrna, and she's Caucasian. She's from the mainland. It was really, this gives the songbook gives the background of it. But what was interesting is that she was the one who was trying to help him with his work because he was a musician. He had always had family that did music, and Myrna wanted to help him with his work by gaining some Hawaiian language skills. So she went to the University of Hawaii and took Hawaiian classes. And one of the teachers was a man named Larry Kimura. And so, you know how it is when you're newly in college and you want to have friends, and and you invite them over for dinner. And so they invited Larry over for dinner. And I guess they were just starting to finish up dinner, and Eddie excused himself and he went into the bedroom. He went someplace, and then he was gone for quite a while. And Larry was going, "What's did I do something wrong? You know, what's the matter?" And he came back out. Eddie came back out with an ukulele and uh, a little tape recorder. What he'd been doing, he said, that while they were having dinner, this song kept coming to his mind, and he wanted to record it because he wanted Larry to write the lyrics for it. I thought, wow, that's amazing, because so many times in my experience, somebody would write the lyrics and then they'd ask somebody else to do the music, because that's what Dave would do. He would write lyrics, and it's poetry. It's just amazing how things. I don't have any of that gift, but Dave did. He would write these lyrics, and then he'd ask Malia to put the music to it. But he was also, before Malia was old enough to really play the ukulele or get interested in that, he had other friends from Leeward Community College where he taught, that he'd ask them, "Can you put this to music? I got these words I really think are great. Could you put them to music?" And so that's how I thought of hakumele, is making music or weaving songs and stories. But it's so true that music touches everyone. And thinking of hula, if it wasn't for music, we wouldn't have hula. We really wouldn't, because hula is the personification of the music. And I've been very, very fortunate to have this background. My father was always into music. He was part of the Gleeman of Honolulu. He took part in May Day programs when he worked for the USDA, no, USED, United States Engineering Department. And he also conducted the choir at St. Patrick's Church here in Kaimuki. So I was always around music. And my first hula personally was a lady that my mom took me to her apartment, or her in Waikiki. When I walked up the stairs and into the room, I must have been like 5 or 6. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember there were lauhala mats. The whole living area was lauhala mats. And it was like your background, I mean, Renee, your house, where you've got all floors. And that's what I remember. So that was my first introduction to hula. And I think her name was Bella Richards, who is a well-known kumu hula from the 50s and 40s. And then when I went to school, we had hula at school, and I had that. And then I didn't do any more hula. After Dave and I were married, and we had Malia and her brother Keoni, and Dave wanted to put Malia in hula. And so he'd asked a friend about who she would recommend, because she was a Hawaiian language teacher up at University of Hawaii also. And she recommended this lady, Pulualo Park. So Malia started with Auntie Pulu when she was 8 years old, 8 or 9. And you become a backstage mom. You help out whatever you need to. And so I was sewing, I was taking pictures, I was trying to help with paperwork and stuff. And Auntie says to me, "I want you to dance." And I said, "Auntie, what do you want me to do? You want me to sew? You want me to backstage mom? You want me to do this? And they want me to dance?" She goes, "Yes, all of the above." So that was how I really got into hula. And Malia does share that she hated hula when she first came, when she was first in. And Auntie was very gentle. And we were very fortunate that Malia started hula with Auntie Puluelo when Auntie was a little bit older, because some of these young kumu are very militarized. They're very strict. And we didn't have that experience with Auntie Pulu. Some of her older students did. And I think they might have thought, oh, these kids coming up, they're just spoiled. They don't know how to be serious. But anyway, so Malia, she finally, something in her mind clicked. And it was just a wonderful time. So my experience with hakumele is somebody writes the words and then they put it to music. But in the case of A Ku'u Morning Dew, Eddie Kamai came up with the music and he needed lyrics. So Larry Kimura was able to do that. And he would only do like one verse. He only did one verse and they loved it. But then Myrna said, can you do another verse? Can you do, because it was only one verse and we don't have too many hulas that are one verse. And so he said, yeah, he would. But he wouldn't be able to do it for a while because he had to go away for a couple of months. So he went ahead, and when he finally said he was done, they went to the Big Island because by then he was at the University of Hawaii in Hilo. And so, and it's really interesting because they talk about Mana, which is an area, it's a place on the slopes of Mauna Kea, roughly 10 miles up Mana Road. And it's at an elevation of 3,400 feet. So it's chilly, misty, but incomparably beautiful land of rolling hills, pastures, and koa forests. So if you haven't had a chance to see that kind of landscape, look it up because it's really incredible. So they went, and originally it was called Morning Dew. And listening to the music and the lyrics together, Myrna said that she asked Eddie, what kind of a song is it to you? Because he's the composer. What is it to you? And he answered her, he says, it's a love song. And that's just, I love, he also said something about a song wasn't finished until it brought tears to my eyes. And how many times has music moved us to tears? So I thought, wow, that's so good. So it was really interesting because, like I said, Larry did 2 verses of A Ku'u Morning Dew, and he did the Hawaiian and then worked with Eddie and Myrna to do the translations. And then they also felt that it wasn't enough. It needed something beforehand. They call it a prologue. And so, this was a work in progress for a number of years. And Eddie was also a member of the musical group, the Sons of Hawaii. And they had Cyril Pahinui was a member of the group. I don't know all the names. I don't have all the names, but I remember they always wore palaka shirts and they all sang. And it was originally called just Morning Dew. And eventually everybody recognizes it as a ku'u morning dew. And a ku'u means my beloved. So this is his love song to his wife, Myrna. She is his beloved, first thing he sees in the morning. And that's just to me is just such a wonderful, wonderful love story that we all aspire to have. But on I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to put the link in the chat because there's, like I said, 32 pages of information. It's just beautiful. And different people have performed it throughout the years. And he touches on who he asked to perform this. And it was one of the stories was how one of the musicians, Mo Keale, he was from Kauai, the Ni'ihau connection. And they had, Eddie and Myrna had gone to a club to listen to Mo sing and perform. And they were going to talk to him when he took a break. But he took a break and then he was gone for like almost 45 minutes. And they thought, whoa, well, maybe we need to leave. So they were getting up to leave. And he came back, Mo came back on stage and and then they sat down back down again to listen to him. And afterwards they were talking to him, and he shared that he was so intimidated to have Eddie Kamai in his audience because he idolized Eddie Kamai. So that's when Eddie told Mo that they wanted him to perform a morning dew. So that was just, things happen. They may happen suddenly like an earthquake, or they may happen gradually as the song did. So I believe it was copyrighted in 72. No, yeah, 1972. And we've been able to see Malia dance it if you haven't already. And I didn't know a lot of significance about Hawaiian things because my family didn't do a lot with our culture. It had been put down when my mom's mom was a child, and they were beaten for speaking Hawaiian. So it was something that it wasn't brought forth for us to emulate. But Malia, when she got into hula, and we were doing things with Puluelo, and we went to the big island of Hawaii. I'm sorry, no, we went to Kauai. And I'm going to, let's see, I just want to show you this particular, okay, this picture, but because I have a background, it's hard to see. So this picture, take it out of the glass. That's fine. Then it won't, hopefully. You see the little dewdrop, the little water right in the center of that taro leaf? Because it is the first thing that people see in the morning. It is the purest water on earth. And do you remember when you saw dew on the grass, on leaves? Because it happens only in the morning usually. And then I was also looking through different pictures, and I remember seeing dewdrops on a spider web. And it's just magical. So amazing. So I want you to think about when you saw the dew and what you thought about it. And let's see, I did make some notes, but okay, the last thing I'm going to share is think about the dewdrops that you produce. Moisture, like tears or perspiration. I never thought of that, but we all have seen our skin after we've worked hard, these beautiful little shimmering of the dew. So we're our own do factories too. So that's my presentation. I don't know if you want to show Malia's dancing again. That was at the Still and Moving Center. And yeah, it brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Do you have a way of playing that song? Because you might be able to show us a few steps.
Oh, I don't know. I am not very computer literate. Robin, are you any? I didn't know if Sharone was going to be here. I'm pretty sure she would have known.
I am not sure at this moment that I know how to bring that up, uh, or to be able to walk you through it.
Let me see whether.
But Renee, do you have it, and could you play it through your audio for all of us to hear? And Mary would be hearing it as well.
I'll try. I'll try.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's try that. Let's try that.
And maybe we can have some conversation in the meantime.
Yes, I'm in the process. I'm going to put in the chat the website for the biography and everything. So actually, Leisure, because it's 32 pages, but it's really neat because it shows the working lyrics, that handwritten lyrics, and has the music, it has the chords. It's really, really nice. So anybody, what is your first remembrance of dewdrops? Okay, Diana.
Okay. We have, in our very first home, it cost $21,500, our first home. And we didn't think we were going to afford the $129 payment a month because this was in the 60s and we didn't have any money, early 70s. And right outside of in our patio were succulents, and they were like they looked like roses. And we would water them, and it looked like there were diamonds in the succulent. And so what we said, that was our diamond garden. We always would have enough money because we had our diamond garden. And so that dew was just really special to us because we didn't have any money, and it was like, well, we always have our our diamonds in the flowers. So that has a lot of special meaning to me too, Mary. So thank you for your talk. It was lovely.
Yeah, Robin.
I would say I have a few specific memories of dew. I grew up in kind of a small town on the outskirts of town. I wouldn't call it necessarily a farm, but very nearly a farm, kind of a rural road. So rural, in fact, I don't know if some of you will know this, but some of you will not. We had a party line where everyone was on the same telephone line. Yeah, but beside the point of being on a party line, there we had fields and big grassy areas, and I loved as a child, like 5 years old, 6 years old, to look out over the beautiful dewy grass and then proceed to let my dog out and run and make all of the paths and movements and basically disturb it so that I could come back and see where he'd gone. So it was like I had a trail, I had a map of what we'd been doing. And the smell of grass and dew in the morning is just a completely amazing memory for me as well. So, yeah.
Aw, thank you. Duchesne has one.
You want to share?
I go first. Oh, thank you. Such beautiful stories, everyone, and Miss Mary. Um, I love going out in the early morning at sunrise and seeing the mist and the dews in the air, and also on the flowers, on the pua, on the leaves. And um, there is a plumera flower in our garden, and it didn't bloom for 2 years because someone had put it inside their home, and for it didn't receive that sunlight. And then they put it out on our garden, and it was there for about 8 months, and it didn't have a single pua, didn't have a single plumera on it. And then just about a month ago, it started blooming its first ever plumera flower. And now it has a whole cluster of them. And I love going out there in the morning and also after the rain and just seeing the dewdrops on the pua, and how it just learned how to bloom recently. Yes.
Wonderful.
One more thing is I absolutely love lotus flower leaves. So the lotus flower leaves, the dewdrops and the raindrops, they just dance and twirl in the lotus leaf, and it's so beautiful.
Yes.
From my side, I think one of the recent memory that Jade just mentioned of watching this plumera flower, the most interesting thing that I observed in this flower was it was holding this tiny little drop of water right at the center of the flower in the plumera, and it almost looked like a pearl, like just how Diana was mentioning, that it looked like something precious that was holding in right at the center of the flower. And it almost felt like each of us has this something which we call as essence. I mean, if I had to put a word to it, all of us has this pure essence which is waiting for us to discover. And to a normal eyes, we won't be able to pick it up right at the stage where it is. I feel like each one of us has to make a mindful journey to be able to recognize the purity and the essence and what it means. Because just like how the song had to be weaved through so many wonderful journeys from so many wonderful people, right from the music to lyrics to performance to composition, and the tiny little pearl came out of that journey. And I wonder what all journeys that tiny water had to make in order to appear on that flower. It's something that we might have to contemplate on, that it has the capacity to hold all those wonderful journeys that it had been through. And so yeah, that's my first reflection.
Robin.
I very much respond to the way that you talked about people adding their essence to make something bigger, because in Mary's telling of how this song came to be, the thing that stood out to me almost more than anything else was the effect that the song had on successive musicians and successive artists, not just being asked to create lyrics, but then being asked to perform, and how reverent every step of the way seemed for the different musicians involved, and putting their own, again, I think, essence, the way that you explain that, Dishen. Yeah, that there's something to that, and the journey of the song transcends each of its participants in a way, or each of the people who add to it into something something else. But that really stood out in Mary's telling, and I appreciate you making the connection.
Well, I do have the joy in current times of having our grandchildren come to the koi pond, and certain times of the year there are actually lotus leaves, and when I was a kid, we were still able to like play with mercury. I don't think people knew how dangerous it was. But anyway, it's a little bit like that. It's just so magical how you can, tip this leaf and have this. It's not exactly iridescent, but it's so shimmering and round, and it does mirror what is all around it somehow. And I'm thinking that is maybe one of the really attractive parts of a dewdrop for us is that it has that reflective ability, 360 3D ability. And it is considered to be so precious and so, I think, representative of a certain tenderness of the heart. When you had dewdrop diamonds, Diana, a real difference between those and real diamonds is real diamonds are hard. And the dew is just so evanescent. And it's almost as if it's that much more precious because we know it won't last. Here comes the sun and away goes all those dewdrops. And so maybe it's kind of a reminder to us that these little drops of magic are to be appreciated in the moment. And, very much like moments of love, that we can't take them for granted. There's something, we have to hold precious and be able to let go of. Maybe that's another reminder of the dewdrop. Even though it is evanescent and we have to be able to let it go, we're pretty sure it's going to come back again. It's going to be another one in a new form and has gone on its own journey, as Duchesne says, but we will have more dewdrops. So it's both evanescent and, it kind of it holds the promise of return as well. And there's a quote from John Muir, and perhaps this is my most long-standing experience of a dewdrop is his words that are now inscribed on a quilt that covers our bed that my cousin spent literally over 1,000 hours making. It's an incredible piece of handiwork. And so it's a depiction of the globe. And then below it, it says, when we contemplate the whole globe as one giant dewdrop, striped and dotted with continents and islands flying through space with other stars, all singing and shining together as one, the whole universe appears as an infinite storm of beauty. Isn't that gorgeous? And so maybe it's a little reminder to us of our world too. To us, in terms of our own lifespan, we're just a blink in the eye of the life of the world. But in another way, earthly life has an evanescence to it, right? That if we think of our life here on earth as being something so beautiful, so precious, but knowing that we are going to need to let it go. Maybe that's part of the message of the dewdrop in regard to our earthly life.
Malia would probably bring into this conversation the hydrologic cycle. Is that the water cycle where rain comes down, it goes through the earth, and it goes back up as evaporation into the clouds and comes back as rain. So that's one thing that she's always reminding us, it comes back.
Mm.
And your quote for tomorrow, He Kehau ho'omoi mai ke aloha. Love is like a cleansing dew. Dew.
You.
And yeah, I am so happy to be a part of this group, like I said, because we support each other, we share. We're not all the same, and who wants to be the same? That would be too boring. But I think about our hiuvai when we go to the beach, like what is in my background, and Malia tells us to leave the cares behind or take it into the water and let it wash away. And this is something we do every day. Every time we wake up, it's a new day. It's another chance to try to get it right. And we all have down times, and that's fine because we know we can call on others for support, for reinforcing their love for us, and we can tell them we love them. So yeah, I like that. Love is a cleansing dew.
Yes, indeed. And I will call on you, Diana, and I will also mention that I have found Eddie Kamai's version of the song. Diana, why don't you go ahead? Let's
I
see.
want to say before I knew about the relationship with his wife, it felt to me that God was calling. My morning dew, wait a minute, pay attention to what I call out. Wait, for me, I remain yours with love. And the second verse says, oops. A dawn breaks and the wet dew sparkles, causing a rosy color on these cheeks. Up at the Mana in the mist-shrouded highland, there you and I will remain forever. There you and I will remain forever. And it felt, I didn't know about the love story between them, but it felt like God, or unconditional love, or whatever you want to say, God was calling. That the dew is a reminder of his unconditional love and that he's there for us and will be. And that's what I thought about when I excuse me, when I read it. Excuse me.
It seems like so often the songs and poems that we hear of romantic love have what I think, would call in the Hawaiian tradition a kauna, an underlying meaning. And certainly, for example, the Sufi poetry is all about being to the beloved. And so it sounds as though it's, very romantic, whereas in fact it is written to the divine. And how beautiful that we can have both levels. Mary, did you want to say something about that? Okay. Well, shall I play it? And do you want to show us anything before we? How does she show dew, for example? What does Malia do to show dew with her hands?
The only thing I could think of is the rain, the misty rain and going across.
Yeah, something like this when she does.
Well, because it's coming from above, we start and we spiral down.
Uh-huh.
And usually the fingers are close together. They're not spiders. We don't want spiders raining on us. So and it's if you don't even have to twinkle, you just move your hands, and then it's if the sand motion is actually from your waist and it just from back and forth. So that could be the pasture is filled with dew.
Okay. Can you dance it for us while I play it?
No, I didn't learn it.
Okay, that's okay.
I don't know if I could. I'm not very computer literate, but I know that you did include it in the email.
The one of her
Yes.
dancing it?
Yes.
Well, we could, if I can figure out how to play that, I just have to find it again. Then we could dance with her.
Yep.
That would be great. Let me try that. Okay, hold on. I might be able to, I might pull this off. Glad you're talking about this being a very intimate little gathering here of all friends who love each other very much. Okay. I think you can see it, correct? You can see it? Oh, let me make sure though that I've, she says to do something special for,
Optimized for video and sound.
yes, yes.
You're doing better than me.
Okay. Can you hear?
I was thinking I should have translated the words because yeah, he kind of skipped a verse, but his last Ovao iho no, I remain yours, always with love.
Oh,
Yeah, it's wonderful to have the words so that you can see the translation. That helps in your hula. it helps in the understanding of what the words mean, what the song means. So yeah, I remain yours always in love. And look at that smile of his.
Like, isn't it amazing?
Yes.
And if you heard a voice from the audience during the song, she was reminding him of the words.
Yeah.
Because he's quite advanced. I don't think he stayed with us much longer.
He
Past.
passed in 2017.
Yeah,
Passed in
so
2017. And in that link that I sent, the Reverend at St. Andrew's Cathedral, that where the services for Eddie were done, he used to come to Hula. I mean, he used to come to the Still and Moving Center. That's Reverend Moki Hino.
oh yes. Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that was just 4 years before his passing. And yeah, what a treasure to have had him, at that advanced stage, come and play for us, and to have Malia dance live with him. And I'm sure she had to adapt as she went along.
That's why it's good to dance solo sometimes, because people won't know. And you just keep smiling.
And every dewdrop is different, so is every song that's sung.
And they were saying too that one individual, Jay Laren, who is another composer and musician, he would sing it differently every time, because that's how the spirit moved him. And yeah, if you get, there's so many fantastic musicians. We're so blessed here in Hawaii, but it's all over the world. In every culture, we're able to share creatively and touch each other's hearts.
Yes. Yeah.
That was kind of neat. Yeah, how does it different every time.
Keeps it fresh. And it's always a different dewdrop. when Jade goes to her dewdrops each morning, it's it's a different dewdrop than the days before. I don't know of other real references to the dew and music other than this one.
Yeah. I can't think of anything specific. I know that they talk about Vaimaka, which is the tears, the water from the eyes. So there are a number of references to tears in lots of different songs. And yeah, but I can't think of any other. Nothing comes to mind anyway. I'm sure we've heard them.
Yeah. And actually, there's also, and I can't give you, I should look up before our satsang tomorrow. I can't give you a specific reference, but there are species, maybe animal as well as plant, that reproduce in what is something like a dewdrop, like, or like sweat. That the parent has something that comes out. This is a tiny little thing, and then that transforms eventually into an entire adult version of whatever that is. So that phrase, the dewdrop slips into the shining sea, is kind of, I think, talking about how any one individual is representative of the whole. So like one individual, like emerging from whatever the parent source is, can then create all these other generations of individuals endlessly.
Not to be facetious, but what came to my mind was mosquitoes and tadpoles.
I don't know where mosquitoes come from, but I know I'm pretty familiar with tadpoles.
Because mosquitoes will lay their eggs even in a small little area of water. I know that they say if you've got those plants that catch water, dump them out so that the mosquitoes don't start.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
I was just thinking that it's almost like dewdrops are very interesting because they come from source and they return to source. And that's sort of what we do. We come from source and we return to source. And it's like they're their individual little selves on the dewdrops, but then they evaporate or whatever, and they go back to source. And that's what just came to my mind.
It's beautiful. I think that's something of what I was trying to talk about. Source is the whole. The ocean is representative of the whole, and that somehow this particular individual in the shape of a dewdrop is very perfectly representative of the whole, because it can, reflect that whole from every direction. And so it's, in that sense, it would be reflecting source, right? It's reflecting the whole. I don't think I can think of anything else that's quite the same as a water droplet that can do that. It's a special symbol.
Water is the source of life. If we didn't have water, none of us would be here. There would be no plants, no animals. So yeah, water is precious.
Yeah, definitely. Well, why don't we go ahead with a takeaway, and then we'll look ahead also. And I might actually ask you for some advice, actually, to tell you the truth. And then we'll have a vote of thanks from Mary. So anybody like to mention a takeaway from today's conversation? Yeah, Robin.
I think on two levels, I think where we ended up, that we are due, and we are representative, and we return and come forth in our individuality, but also we offer due, we offer something, we offer droplets to other people in our time. It's I haven't contemplated due to this extent, maybe ever, maybe I have in the past, I'm not sure. But it's such it is a metaphor that has a lot of resonance for many different things. And I think my takeaway is that we are due, and we offer due in different ways. So yeah, thank you.
Yes.
My takeaway is that to be aware of the little things. Also, what you said, yes, I agree with that 100%. But I think that it's like when we see a light on something or we see the dew on something, to really take a moment to appreciate and see it. Even if we don't say anything or don't put meaning into it, just to say, there on a spider web with dew on it, or it's like the miracle of that, and to really appreciate all the little nuances and things of life that we can really take joy, and that shows to me the love of God.
And that's a really beautiful follow-up to last week's conversation with Robin when we were talking about praise, and that it seems to be preceded by this sense of awe, and then just being so awestruck that we feel almost compelled to exclaim or say something about whatever it is that has touched us with that awe. Yeah, great share. Thank you.
You want to go next?
You go first.
I think one of the takeaways for me is that everything on the earth is capable of holding dew, and each of us also has the same capacity, and we have to make those mindful journeys to come to that inner stillness. Maybe it is through presence, maybe it is through love, maybe it is through different journeys, and every day we have that capability and capacity, and when we reach there, you can then let that energy flow out in the ways you want and offer that energy or serve that energy.
Thank you.
I really love everyone's sharings, and I love what Renee had said about how the dew is like moments of love, and you can see a miracle in just a drop of dew, a drop of rain. And it's so precious, and it's like you can see the whole universe love in a single dewdrop. And I also love that you said that it holds the promise of return, and every day it's a new dew. And that what you all were saying about how every dew has its own journey. I really love that.
Yeah.
Mahalo nui.
Yes, thank you so much.
And my
Mary?
takeaway is, wow, we are all so unique, and we all share what we have, and we we just celebrate each other, and we raise each other up, we lift each other up, and just the variety of input that came from Eddie, his song that he couldn't get out of his mind, to asking for people's lyrics and help. Just that, yes, we're so unique and special, and we're all one. Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Well,
Hey, what is your takeaway?
oh, mine? Oh, gosh, I had a lot as we went along. I think the evanescence making it even more precious. The fact that it's so transitory. Appreciate it now. It helps us to be in the moment when we're with a dewdrop. So I'm going to tell you, because I actually don't have speakers lined up for the next several weeks, and maybe by mentioning them, traditions may make arise to you that would help us find speakers. Next week, our topic is sacred connections. And it's about if we can connect to this point in consciousness, it will allow us to initiate a current so that we can have like continuity of consciousness. And those would be sacred connections. That's just the quote for the whole week. There's 7 other quotes. The week of June 13th is the lightning, Kehau. And Malia's going to be in Japan. And the next week of June 20th, which will be the weekend of the summer solstice, will be the dawn, Kawana'au. Did I say it almost right?
Wana'au, wana'au.
Kawana'au.
Yeah. And we're also, that's Hi'uvai.
Yeah. So everybody who can be here to go to the beach, that would be wonderful. And then there's something, if you have a little extra time, I'd love to read aloud to all of you. It's not connected with this, but I'd love to read something aloud to you. Any ideas though for sacred connections, lightning or the dawn? It was one thing that came to mind was if we could have somebody do a little investigation about Benjamin Franklin. Besides the political kind of mind that he had, he also put the kite up in the air with the string on the end tied to the tail or to the, up near the kite, to discover how lightning was actually composed of electricity. Also, we could do, if you knew somebody who knew something about electricity itself, that might be interesting in regard to lightning.
Lightning
Any ideas?
is also associated probably with awakening, right? Like it's a sudden realization of
Yes.
something.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I think Deshaun should do that one. Says I, who don't want to do any, but
yeah, I'm really not just asking you whether you will do it. I'm really putting it out there like, okay, what are kind of seed ideas for finding somebody? Yeah. So Duchesne, were you kind of liking the idea of the symbolism of lightning and waking up? Are you semi-volunteering?
Not sure about that. I think I was suggesting the idea about some tradition around, or a person having the journey of sudden realization that we can kind of learn from.
Yeah. And a lot of genius happens that way. It is a really sudden realization that somebody has put all the preparatory work into to make it possible. So it could be done just as a little bit more of a report about a couple examples, 2 or 3 examples of genius striking. Okay, now I'm asking, does anybody feel inspired to talk about genius striking? And this idea of sacred connections, any topics, traditions come to mind for that? It's part of the fun, creative part of conducting jams. When I put these things into the almanac, I usually don't have any preconceived ideas.
Sacred connections, I feel one of the things could be translated as belonging, perhaps, where the moments where we feel sacred is we feel connected to something. And the thing that comes to mind is nature, sacred connections, because that's the default for me at least. It might look different for different people.
Well, I think you were actually on our list for that one as a possible person to ask about that very thing. Would you like to accept that one?
That one I can do, yes.
Okay. Well, then we have next week covered. Then that's great. And yes, Robin.
Renee, I'd like to look through the almanac for those three and germinate on the quotes and everything just to see if I can either think of something that makes a connection or something that's inspiring, but it maybe need just a little more grounding in it. And then maybe I can, yeah, thanks.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Well, it sounds like we have Sacred Connections covered by Deshane. So if you wanted to look at lightning and the dawn for seeing what might come to fruition in terms of your mind. And who would like to give a vote of thanks to Mary? Diana, thank you so much.
Mary, whenever you speak, you are so filled with love and faith and light. And your energy, I don't care what you say. I just like listening to you. And what you convey is love. And there's not many people that radiate love as much as you do. And I just really honor who you are and how you are in this world, that it means a lot to me to be in this group with you. And I love you.
Oh, I love you too. One of these days, we're going to be able to hug each other.
I like that a lot.
Two sisters. Oh, thank you so much.